At Magnus' funeral, each one seemed to have a different idea. Detective Pund wanted to see if he could gain something, but the result appears unsatisfactory. After the funeral, Chubb and Pund returned in one car. On the way, Chubb informed Pund that the stain on the note had been detected. The blood on it belonged to Magnus. Pund answered without hesitation that the note was thrown into the fireplace after Magnus' death.
Could it not be that the sheet of paper was what he was looking for? He found it, he tore it up, he burnt it.
You may have a point.
Sanderling said that Robert still had things he didn't tell Pund. So they drove to Robert's residence after driving Chubb. It is a story about the death of Robert's brother, Mary's second son, 12 years ago. When Robert was very young, his father was in the Royal Air Force and was sent far away, leaving Mary and 2 sons home. One day, the Magnus family was hiring a housekeeper. Mary moved into a lodge in front of the pie hall to do their housekeeper with her 2 sons. That's when Magnus would play scavenger hunts with the kids, hide an ancient coin and give clues for Robert and his brother Sam to find. They played the game the day it happened, and the gardener Brent was also there.
Brent was there that day, and he'd taken against us from the start. And me and Sam made too much noise and...
Then the accident happened.
It was a summer's day, and Sam and I went on a treasure hunt looking for a coin. And we were excited, and we were running around, and somehow we got separated. Now, normally that wouldn't matter, but this time...
They got separated while looking for coins, and Sam didn't come back for a while.
Put him down. Sam, please, no. Sam.
Sam had drowned. He was 12 years old.
Since then, their family has changed. Mary divorced his father when he retired from the Royal Air Force. They blame each other, one for missing the child's growth, the other for not taking care of the children. The change in Robert was that he started complaining about everyone around him, including himself. The next day, Chubb and Pund meet again, this time at the village jewelry store. One of the ancient Roman brooches and the silver jewelry displayed in the window was from Pye Hall. Whiteley also confessed the origin of the brooch.
Jack Whitelaw, a member of the so-called Mansion Gang, professional burglars operating in Kensington and Chelsea. You thought you could hide out here, did you?
We're not hiding. We've started again.
We started what again? Receiving stolen goods? Where is it?
I didn't know it had anything to do with Sir Magnus.
Who sold it to you?
He said it was worth next to nothing. He gave me £1.
I think you're missing the point, Mr. Brent. Where's the rest of it?
That's all there is.
A series of clues point to Pye Hall gardener Brent. Facing the questioning of Detective Pund and Inspector Chubb, Brent took out the hidden ancient Roman silver ornaments. However, he said it was all picked up at the Pye Hall estate, by the lake, on the second day after Hall was stolen.
So why should I? He fired me. He blamed me for what had happened even though it was no fault of mine. They were all insured anyway, there was only 2 pieces.
Are you sure of that? Not holding anything back?
There was nothing else.
Well, you should nonetheless have given what you found to the police, particularly in the light of the sudden death of your employer.
Pund looked at the calm lake thoughtfully, as if the lake where Sam had once died was the beginning of all events. Looking back, you can just see the second floor of the lodge from the lake. He made 2 demands to Chubb. One is to find a team to salvage the bottom of the lake. See if there's a discovery. The other was that he would go into the lodge where Mary once lived to look for clues. Brent provided the key, but he didn't want to enter the house. He just reminded Pund to lock the door when leaving. Then he left. Pund and James searched every room and found nothing until they reached Mary's sewing room on the second floor. Standing in front of the window, Pund seemed to see the past scene.
It's here, James.
Bella.
This was the dog belonging to the 2 children.
What's the collar doing here?
That is indeed the question. Now, this is interesting.
The salvage team has started work as requested by Pund. Inside the hotel, Pund and James analyze the notebook resembling Mary's diary. In Pund's words, it is very interesting.
There are some for whom knowledge means money and power. But there are others who enjoy it simply for the pleasure that it brings, sense of being in control.
You think Mary Blakiston was more like that?
It is not only a diary but also records of everyone in the village and even Whiteley's true identity.
Do you think she was blackmailing him?
That is indeed the question.
Or maybe he was the one who pushed her down the stairs. Imagine he'd have done anything to hide his secret. Still, if the whole village is in there, it could have been any of them.
I will study this tonight.
Pund opened the last page of the notebook, pointed to the contents, and said to James, here revealing a lot of information about Magnus' death. Pund seems to have seen the truth through the text. He revisited the previous suspects. Whiteley said he didn't know Mary knew his true identity, and Mary didn't tell him. Remember that threatening letter? It was sent by Magnus' sister, Clarissa. This was also recorded in Mary's notebook. Clarissa happened to be seen by Mary on the day she delivered the letter. Although Clarissa refused to admit it, the evidence was solid. Remember the details of that letter? The content is machine typed, and details are given in my second video.
It doesn't matter anymore. Dinkeldale is saved. The development isn't happening. We won.
He found the pastor of the church again. The pastor is the person who knows the most information about the people in the village. He said he had not disclosed anyone's privacy to Mary. At the same time, he thinks that the day Robert and Mary quarreled was an accident because everyone had said something they regretted. And on the day of Mary's funeral, Robert cried very sadly. Back in Pye Hall, Lady Pye answered Pund's question while smoking a cigarette. She was meeting her lover the day Magnus was killed, and Mary's diary contained information about her and her lover. But Mary never threatened her with that.
Well, I'm sorry to have to tell you, but Mary Blakiston made certain allegations about you, Lady Pye. She kept a diary.
Why doesn't that surprise me?
When did you last speak to her?
We spoke every day. I rang her the morning she died, and when she didn't answer, I thought there must be something wrong.
She never mentioned Charles Dartford to you?
No.
Or to your husband?
I see what you're getting at, but no. She never threatened me.
The salvage team also found something here. At the bottom of the lake at Pye Manor, they found more of Hall's lost ancient Roman silverware.
Why would the burglars go to the trouble of stealing it simply to throw it in the lake?
Because they were not burglars. Brent told us he found two objects, a statuette and the brooch on the lawn. So the question is, how did they get there? If the burglars had been genuine, they surely would have taken the silver in their car straight up the drive.
A puzzle in front of Pund seemed to be the last piece. The last person to visit was Mary's husband, Robert's father, Matthew. Talking about Mary, Matthew looked relieved. He still loves Mary. They were happy until their youngest son Sam died. Sam's death changed everything. He and Mary are divorced. Mary also seemed to have changed a person, taking Robert very seriously and not allowing Robert to disappear from her sight. Pund asked one last question before leaving.
What can you tell me about Bella?
Somebody poisoned her. It was quite deliberate. Rat poison. We always assumed it was Brent. Sam was devastated.
Why Sam in particular?
Well, it was his dog. I bought her for him for his 9th birthday.
On the way back, Pund looked much lighter, as he had solved all the mysteries of the 3 Pye Hall murders.
Well then, do tell me, I want to know.
We have a long drive.
We have a long drive. I will explain it all.